Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. We're getting ready to do some land improvements. This is 1.25 acres, 220 by 220 feet. We've got some decomposed granite or road base. It's crushed concrete basically. And that's what we're going to use for fill. What I'm going to do here is I picked a spot in this particular terrain because of the contours of it. I'm going to utilize it to my best advantage and be the most cost efficient and get the most bang for my buck and enhance this property. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut into the embankment here and create a flat spot for the new house to set on. This happens to be in Arizona. Now this is about 1/2 mile from the Colorado River, and we happen to have a well on this particular site, and the water that it's drawn from this particular well is off the Colorado River, and it's only 90 feet deep. So right now I'm cutting into this embankment, and then I'm going to throw up a retaining wall. I'm going to do a 2-foot retainer, and I'm going to go from there. So in other words, when we drop the manufactured home in here, instead of walking up into the doorway on steps, you'll be able to come off of flat ground. So all the dirt that I cut out of this hill right here, I'll just throw to the lower end and build it up. There was actually a manufactured home here at one time or another before I acquired this particular property. And you can see by that drop pole and power line that it's already existing, and that's 100 amp. So I'm going to increase it to a 200 amp, which means, according to the Mojave Electric Company, that the 85 foot on a 200 amp is not going to be efficient because of the wire gauge. So I'm going to have to move my pole in, and because that's an actual steel pole, I got to set an actual wood pole. Hi, David Odell here, Odell Complete Concrete. What we're doing here is we're making a level area to set a manufactured home on. So right now we're just checking the grade, and our brand new laser level, the DeWalt, didn't work, and this is the second job. Won't turn on for some unknown reason. So right now we're going to level this the old-fashioned way, a line level. So I've got my string line tied. Right now I'm showing about a 1/4 bubble sloping that way. So in that distance we're probably off about a good 6 inches right now. So I'm going to lower this end down about 6 inches and then see what it reads. Alright, we've dropped it down. And we still have slope, so we got to go more down. This end, I believe, this end is still going to be about, probably got to go down another 6 inches on this whole side.
We need 2 feet overall, don't we?
In that area. It can be a little higher actually, and then we can just build up the outside to slope away. So we can go. See, the manufactured home, we need 2 foot of skirting underneath it. So we're digging into the embankment, so the entrance will be flush on that side, and the back side will be raised with steps going down, or a raised patio or something, but the entry will be just flush going into the door. That's why we're going to do a retaining wall along here, and we can go you know, anywhere from above the existing grade here, we can probably go 6 inches above the top of the retaining wall. And that way we can build up to that and make sure that we slope the water away from going underneath the building. So that's what we'll do. We'll probably go basically 18 inches below existing grade, although it will be a 2-foot wall, so we'll be 6 inches above that. And then we'll build it up a little bit later. Let's see if we got this thing close yet. Yeah, that's real close. Probably come up a couple inches there. Right to the top of that page like that would be on the money, huh? This is probably it right here. Let's see what we got. Yeah, see that's level right there. So we're probably within 1 inch from end to end doing it, you know, with using this system right here that I'm using. We're probably about 1 inch tolerance, I would say, with this system. Now what we can do is measure down from the string line to the dirt and see what we got to do here. All right, so we determined there that there was a lot of dirt work to do. We had to go down at one end and we had to move that dirt to the other end. So that's basically what we're going to do here. And as we do it, because we want optimal compaction of this native, we're going to keep wetting it down as we go through here. And we're working right now in about, it's probably about 35 degrees out and a nice wind. So the chill factor is probably, you know, around the 30s or below. So whenever you're considering doing a new build, you're going to want to always go into a cut rather than a fill. So for the majority of this particular situation, we're doing all cut. A lot of times what I've seen, you know, 20, 30 years later, where they've built on a, you know, complete fill, not in cutting or native, is a lot of settlement. So what I've done here is decided that, you know, based on what I know and what I've seen, it's best to cut in rather than just fill. So we're going to minimize the fill and use a lot of the native. Right here, what I'm doing is I'm actually digging the footing. Even though I don't have a backhoe, I can actually scoop and scoop a lot of the dirt out of this footing with just this little tractor here. A little bit of hand digging to do, you know, to clean up the footing area. But since we're on all native, there's not a whole lot of compaction, because whenever I dig with a tractor, what I do is I cut, you know, on the money. I don't overcut, because when you overcut, now you've disturbed native. Now you have a problem. So when I make my cuts, I like to make them precise. That's why we're using the shovels now rather than backfilling. Native's always better, in other words.
All right, you're live.
Hi, David Odell here. I'm back. This is about 3-4 hours later. And we basically cut into this hillside right here, and we pushed it to the low end over there. So we've got to bring a lot more dirt in, push it, slope it away. You know, probably got to slope it out about a good 10 to 12 feet, I would say, and then it's going to be good. Tomorrow we're going to pour this footing right here where I'm wetting. We're going to wet this up. And this is all going to be underneath the manufactured home right here. So I'm just gonna let it run. I'm not gonna form the inside or the outside. So I'm gonna kind of pour it stiff, 3/4 rock, 2500 PSI. Just gonna be a little high. I'm gonna stack it along that edge. So it might be a little higher than the dirt, which is fine because it'll be under the trailer. Plus I'm gonna put a lift of 4 or 6 inches of that road base right there. I'm gonna go over the top of this once I get the wall built. So that should go probably to the top of my footing, I think. Depending on how high I go above that dirt there, the native. So right now I'm just putting some water on this and then let it settle in overnight, and we'll be ready to pour tomorrow. Set some 8/8/16s and put some 1/2-inch rebar in here. We'll put some verticals every 2 foot, and we'll run a horizontal, maybe 1 or 2 horizontals all the way around in the footing. And then this is only 2 foot high, so it's basically 3 courses. But I may throw an extra one in there and then build up a little bit more. I haven't decided about that yet, but it's gonna be nice. Anyway, thanks for watching, and talk to you later. Alright, here we are getting elevations and squaring up, because I only need 2 retainers basically, and it's going to be on one end and then all the way down the long side of the manufactured home. And the end and the other side will have basic skirting, and then a deck, a raised deck with probably, I'm thinking of sunken jacuzzi maybe in the deck, because I'm going to have the space on the back side because I have the height. So that's going to be relatively easily to do. Maybe throw a little concrete pad underneath the deck at 4 feet and drop a jacuzzi on it and build a deck around it at floor level. Be a really nice walk-in. Here's my 1/2-inch rebar going in, and this is basically a 5-yard footing. It's not really cut beautifully on this footing, but I'm going to stack it up high and drop the blocks on late so I can retain that depth of my footing. So it's a good foot deep is what I'm going for on the footing, and I got 1/2-inch rebar in there. You know, you don't typically see these front end discharge units from the concrete dispatchers out here in California, but in Arizona they're pretty common. And the beauty of them is that you don't need a chute man. The driver is the chute man, which is came in really handy here because I was kind of short-handed. It was just me and my son doing this project. And throughout this entire project, that's what you're going to see, because this is a huge series we're going to do here on this land development. It's going to have a lot of things in it over a course of time, a long time actually, but it's going to all happen. So here's your footing, and it's about 1 foot deep. The rebar's in there. Now I'm going to start dropping some block on there, and then I'm going to start stabbing some verticals every 2 foot. Then the following day, after I get all this block set, I'll have the truck back out here, and we'll shoot it into the top of the block and fill all these blocks solid. Right now we're going to run a 2-part series right on this gig, but as we progress through this whole job process, there's going to be a lot more series to it, and we're going to join them all together by links and cards. On the upper left, you'll be able to click back and see the whole program from beginning to end. Here's the rebar going in, and typically in this area they get about 4 inches of rain a year, very minimal. So you don't have to worry about a lot of waterproofing. It's a very dry climate. I mean, this is where they keep all the old airplanes from the armed forces. This is where they store them in Arizona because they don't rust, and it preserves forever basically. So When you're using steel out here, I mean, you can just leave it raw and it's not going to rust. So we have one line on the leading edge of that block, and we're just dropping them down on that line, and then we're going to cross check them with a 2-foot level. We're wet setting this in the concrete also. The block manufacturer over here is a little different than what you would typically get in California. A little different design here. On the ends of these blocks they have notches. I think that's for rebar. I'm not real sure what that is for, but typically you won't see that in California in my area. But this is Arizona, so everything's a little bit different. But it is the same country. That's the beauty of it. Here's my third and final course, and I got a couple chicken legs on the top of the wall to hold that line. Now I'm just buttering up, dropping block, hitting the heads and getting it on. Now my plan, as I've progressed through this particular location and continued working this and thinking it through, at every block I've set, I've thought of a new idea, what I'm going to do in this particular location. And so far I'm at the point to where the manufactured home will set probably about 6 to 8 inches above the top of these 3 courses, which is 24 inches. So I want to do a straight walk in. I don't really want to go up any stairs. Much more convenient for everybody actually, but here's my plan. I'm gonna lay a 6-inch slab over the top of this block. I'm gonna dowel into the top all along the front siding of this manufactured home. That will also prevent animals from getting under the manufactured home, at least on these 2 sides. The other 2 sides, a whole different story, which I'll probably put concrete at the bottom of the skirting just to secure it. Alright, this about wraps up this particular part 1 of a huge series that's going to be ongoing with this particular land development. And what we're going to do is the second part's going to come out in about 3 days, and then after that you're going to be a prolonged period of videos coming out pertaining to this particular property development. But we're going to put them in to where you can refer to them by linking within the video to each other. So stay tuned for all those segments. 3 days will be this next section. Thanks for watching and have a good day.